Welcome to Sherry's Painting. Today we are going to be painting Cedar Waxwing. So here I am just adding some some dark green, hunter green, as well as lime green, red, yellow, and orange to my canvas just to do as a base coat. This is just the first coat. Don't spend too much time in one area as the paint will begin to lift. And we will be adding another coat to this once it dries, but it has to be completely dry before we do that. So just continue adding, do your edges as well. And I will see you back in the next step, and we will do another coat on our canvas. So here I'm putting on another coat on the canvas, and you guys can do this however you like. I'm using a mixture of green, hunter green, yellow, and red, and a little bit of cinnamon brown, and just mixing it all together. So you guys can do, you can mix it around however you like. And then once that is dry, we can just move right on to the next step. You will need some chalk because we're going to be drawing the bird on the next step. So just make sure your canvas is completely dry, do your edges, and get a hair dryer out if you need to, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we'll see you on the next step. So in this step, you're going to need a sharpened piece of chalk. And I start by drawing the branch so that I am able to locate the bird. And then I start from the branch and just make a little bit of a wavy line to an angle, as well as his head there and his beak. And he's going to have that berry in there. So I drew that in there just so I know how to open the beak. And I go and I draw him around, and then I'm going to come up and we're going to draw his wing there as well, and the tail feather. So, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to draw a couple of little branches here and there, and we will be attaching berries to those. And just, draw the design however you would like it to be. And when you're happy with it, then we will go on to the next step. This bird is very interesting and lovely to look at. So next step, please. So for this step, we're going to be blocking in the bird here. So I'm taking straight cinnamon brown. I'm using a small round brush to do this. You can use whatever brush you like or you're comfortable with, but I'm blocking in, they have sort of this wispy part on their head, and I'm just blocking in the straight cinnamon brown on that part, as well as just around the beak area. And then I'm going to go in with a mixture of black and white and just make this gray mixture. And remember, guys, that these colors always dry darker, okay, with acrylic. So I'm just mixing the black and white together to make this gray so that I can do the underside of the bird's belly. And I'm going to go in between the branch as well, and just extend it to just past the branch on the other side. And then I am just carrying it to that wing piece there. We're not quite doing that wing yet, and to the back of his head. So, go very fast with this. This step really doesn't matter too much. It's just the, a blocking in stage of how we want the colors of the bird. So, just going in there and doing that and continuing to blend that in. And then I'm going up and I'm just going to put a little bit of gray at the beak there, because that's where he's going to be holding the berry. So I just want to establish where his beak is on top and bottom. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do his back wing there with a little bit of a darker gray. We may end up darkening that up, and I'm going to extend that back wing right in that same color into the tail feathers. And I'm also going to be using, at the end of their tail, they have this, they're really bright yellow feathers. So I'm just rinsing off my brush there, going into the yellow and adding in a little bit of yellow at the base of the tail there for those feathers. And then we're going to go on to the branches, or actually I'm going to make a little, these birds have a little mask on their face, so I'm just going to make the mask around the face there. We will place the eye here in a minute or on the next step, but for now I just want to mask out where that face is. And then there's also a little bit of an arc that comes from the bottom of the beak and just under the chin area. So I'm just going to, block that in as well. Then we're going to do the branches. So I'm using cinnamon brown here, and I'm still using my round brush to do all this, but I'm just blocking in the base of the branch, and we will have little pieces coming out of there because these branches are all going to hold bright red berries. So I'm just basically going in and putting in my branches. And it doesn't have to be perfect. No branch is perfect. There's knots and gnarls in them and everything else. So like I said, they will be extending out. So, you can pause the video at any time and, to establish where you want your branches to go. And then in the next step, we're probably going to be highlighting those branches a little bit and then extending them out. But for now, I just want to get those branches finished. So get ready for the next step. We'll be using our script liner brush to highlight some of those branches, and then we'll go from there. See you in the next step. So for this step, we're just going to put a slight highlight on our branches so that we can see them a little bit better. So I've taken my script liner brush and I have put together a little bit of brown, a little bit of white, and a little bit of green and mixed them all together. If you dip your brush in the water and then add that into that little pile of paint, it makes it almost like an ink-like consistency, and it'll flow off of your brush a little bit easier. So also I hold the brush about halfway up just so it's not so rigid when I go to do these branches. It's a little bit more free flowing. If you have a shake in your hand, this step is for you, because branches always have knots and gnarls in them, and they're never straight. So it's a really good thing to have a shake in your hand at this point, or make them very shaky. Also, we will be locating the berries off of these, and I have added in a few extra little pieces that come off the branch, or a few extra little branches here and there, and we will be locating our berries in the next step. So you will need your chalk again for the next step, and then we're going to go from there. So I'll see you in the next step. So for this step, we're going to be adding our berries in with chalk, or, a white pencil if you have one. But so just, wherever you feel like you would like these. Generally, some of them are single, some of them are in clumps. My recommendation is to start on the left and work to the right if you are right-handed, or vice versa. Because I found I was working over top. So, even Even us people who paint a lot make mistakes. Just place your berries wherever you like. Try and avoid them around the bird. There's a couple of berries that I've actually placed without a branch on it yet, so I will be adding in those branches later. I just felt like they needed to be there. So wherever you would like these berries placed is perfect. And, you know, once you're happy with that, with how you've placed them, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill in the base coat on the berries. I'm not filling in the base coat on the bird yet, but we will in some steps that are further ahead. So I want to get the bird done first before we fill in that berry in his mouth. So continue to draw in where your berries are, and we're going to go on to the next step. Okay, everyone, for this step, we're going to be doing the underpainting on the berries. So I've taken my small round brush and I've mixed red along with a tiny touch of black. You don't want too much black because it's pretty overpowering. So I think you can see on my palette there how dark the red is. And we want to just go in and underpaint the berries. You can do them in clumps or you can do them individually. It's entirely up to you. And if you start from the left and work your way to the right, and also if you start at the top and work your way to the bottom, because you don't really want to smudge that around too much. You can also add berries in too if you feel like there needs to be a berry somewhere that you have previously missed. So the berry in the bird's mouth, we're going to wait until a further step ahead to do that particular berry, because I want to actually get the bird finished first. So leave the berry in the mouth. We will be doing that in a later step. So locate more berries if you want them. Put your underpainting in your berries or your base coat in your berries, and we will see you on the next step. Okay, everyone, so for this step, I'm using the straight red this time, and using the small round brush, I've established that the light will be coming from the right-hand side of the canvas. So what I'd like you to do is just take that red and the small round brush and just do the right-hand side of the berries. Don't do the whole berry because we want some of that dark showing through at the back of the berry for shadow. So just use the bright red to give that right-hand side of the berry just a little bit of extra color. If some of your berries are bigger than others, that is all okay. And we will be getting rid of those chalk marks here too, not in this step, but shortly. We have to make sure that the canvas is completely dry before we do that. You want to leave a little shadow in there for the separation of the berries too. So start on the left-hand side of your canvas, work to the right and the top of the canvas to the bottom, and then we will see you on the next step. So for this step, we're just getting rid of the chalk around the branches and the berries, but you have to wait till the canvas is completely dry to do this. You can take a little bit of paper towel, preferably one that doesn't leave a lot of lint behind, like a Bounty or something like that. And you just dip it in a little bit of water and then just squeeze it out and, gently rub where you have your chalk marks. So leave the chalk marks on the bird for now and just concentrate on getting rid of the ones on the branches and the berries. Then what I'm doing is I've taken my script liner brush and I'm dipping it in straight white, and we're giving those berries a little bit of highlight on the right hand side of the berry because that's where the light is coming from. So once you've finished doing that, if your berries are an odd shape or an odd form, please don't worry about it because you can always fix that up later. But for now, I just just put that highlight on the right side. And if you need to fix up your berry, you can go into the darker red and do the berry on the shadow side, and then the lighter red to do the berry on the other side if you need to fix them up. But for now, I think we're just going to leave it at that, and we'll see you at the next step. So for this step, we're going to be putting another layer on the bird. So first I am locating the eye on the bird, and I'm using a pastel pencil to locate the eye. And then I'm going into that cinnamon brown mixture and mixing it with a little bit of white, just so I can identify where this tuft goes, and we're just adding that little extra layer of feathers. And you want to use short strokes for this so that it looks like it's feathers, and just go around his eye where the black is, and then down a little bit on the front of his neck and the back of his neck. To same sort of strokes. I'm adding a little more white there on that side. He's a little lighter on the back there. And then I'm also mixing in a little bit of yellow with the brown and the white just to get sort of that tanny color. And I'm going to go into the belly of the bird here right away, and underneath the eye there, just to carry it down. It's going to be lighter at the front because the light is coming from that direction. So just go around that a little bit. Inside the belly, again, I want you to use short little strokes. And this isn't done yet. This is just another layer on this bird because we'll be adding layers just to make him look more realistic. And I'm going right up to the edge of the chalk that we had outlined, as well as the edge of the wing, and down in between the branches. Don't worry if you cover up some of your branches because we will be doing those again. And we'll also be adding a few berries in front of there as well. I probably will add berries where the tail feather is too, but I really want the yellow of his tail feathers to show through. So, and we will be giving those a little bit more life in a moment as well. So just a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown, a little bit of white mixed together on the brush, and short little strokes to indicate feathers. Go in between the branches and along to his tail feathers there. So now I'm back at the top again, putting on another layer once that layer has dried. And I'm going to be fixing up his beak here in this section as well. And just take your time on this, and if you need to pause, you can. Here I've taken a little bit of white. Because these birds, they're a cedar waxwing. They come out in the fall, they eat all these berries, but I'm just adding a little bit more black there around his eye and on top of the beak, so that it becomes a little bit more prominent, and also more toward the back of his head as well. I'll be adding that in as well. And I apologize because I'm a little bit sporadic when I paint, and sometimes it's hard to keep up. So just do whatever is comfortable for you. But I'm going around his eye again and then toward the back, because these guys really do have little masks on. I had one land beside me on my table one day, and he sat there for quite a while. So they're really cool little birds. They're very interesting. So now I'm just at the beak a little bit and making the beak a little bit more prominent, adding that white underneath the black on the eye really does help. And so I'm just going around with the black at the bottom as well. We do not go to that, depending on where your chalk line is. You want to make that beak go around the berry. So now I'm just filling in where I have gone with the eye, and I am now going in with a dark or a lighter gray on the top of that wing at the back, because I sort of want it to have a V, and then I'll be going in with a darker gray toward the bottom of the wing. And you want to go again in between the branches. He's going to be a little shadowed underneath the branches, so just carry that dark gray in behind the branches there as well. So, take your time, pause the video if you need to. And then eventually I will be going and doing those tail feathers at the tips there, because they're very bright yellow. And that'll be our first layer on there, but haven't quite got there yet. I'm still working on the gray area underneath. So now I'm going to the berry, and I'm using that dark red color that we used earlier just to fill in where that berry is on his mouth, or in his mouth, I should say. And then again, just adding to the little winged, or the little puff of hair he's got at the top there. I am outlining the bottom beak now just to make it a little more prominent, so that I know it's positioned properly with the berry. And again, I'm filling in the black, the bottom of the beak, to go with that berry as well. And then adding a little bit of black underneath, just so we know that there's a bit of shadow in there. And again, a little bit more highlight there. And a little bit more black in there around where that joins the bird. And I'm putting a little bit more black on top of the beak as well. And now I'm just using a touch bit of white, putting that as a glint in his eye. And now I'm going to do those tail feathers underneath in that bright yellow. And just separate them. Make sure you're separating them. Do them on a diagonal. Make them a little rounded at the edges. And, because those tail feathers are so bright on this bird. So I think I put a couple of coats on there of that yellow. And I'm mixing it up again, a little bit of the yellow and the brown going back, or sorry, the yellow, the brown, and the white, and going back and putting another layer on the front of his belly for the feathers. And then underneath, and like I said, we will be adding berries in there. Now I'm going with the brown and the white again, and I'm just going to try and blend that in a little bit into the rest of the bird. And like I said, we will be doing another layer on that as well. And then I will meet you for the next step. Oh, here we go. I'm adding a little bit of highlight to the beak and to the bottom as well, and around the eye a little bit. And I'll see you at the next step. So on this step, I'm going to be locating the berries under his belly. I wanted to make sure most of that was done before I added those berries in there. So I'm just mapping them out with a piece of chalk as to where I think they might go. Add them wherever you like. Yours doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm taking my Filbert brush, and I am mixing a little bit of yellow, a little bit of brown, and a little bit of white again, a little brighter this time, to add to the underside of his belly, just to brighten that up a little bit, because that's what's going to be hitting, or that's what the sun's going to be hitting. So, and then I take a little bit of brown and add that in as well, and just sort of mix the two together so that really, you don't see where one starts and the other stops. The thing about these birds, they do have the feathers, but they also are very smooth looking birds. So they're almost like velvet. So we will be adding another layer on the front of his belly, but I think for the most part, just the highlighting on the belly now. But so just do that very smoothly, come right up under the black there and go to his wing, and make sure you're highlighting at the top as well. And then, like I said, we will be putting straight white as a final highlight on here in the next step. But and now I'm filling in the berries, so just that dark red berry mixture that we made earlier, just go around in the berries. Don't rub away the chalk just yet. We want that to dry first. So we'll just be doing that in there. I will be going in and putting a dark mark along the back wing as well as we go forward with this step. So just using the script liner brush and dipping it in some water and then some black, but I'm still just filling in the berries here. So once I've got those berries filled in, I will go with that script liner to the back, just for a low light on the back of his wing. So here we go. I'm going to use the script liner brush, and I'm just filling in the back of his wing with a little bit of black. Twirl your brush, dip it in water, put it in black and twirl it. And then I'm also going to be making, distinguishing the tail feathers at the base as well. And going in again, putting a little bit more black on the top of that beak, just to make it a little bit more distinguished there. And now I'm adding a little bit of red, just straight red, to that berry in his beak. And then I probably add a little bit more shadow toward the back of the berry. I just really want that berry to stand out, and then a little highlight on that berry as well. And I am just doing the other berries as well, filling them in with that red. So take your time, you guys. Pause the video if you need to, and really take your time on what you're doing. And then I will see you on the next step. So this is the final step, everybody. So I'm just going to add a little bit more highlight to his belly there, a little bit with the yellow, white, and brown, just lightening it up just a touch and then mixing it in. I'm also adding a little bit where his shoulder would be by his back wing. So just to add a little highlight and just show a little definition there as well. I mean, I'm not perfect either, so, but anyway, so just adding a little final, we will be adding the actual final highlight in a second here, but so doing that, and then I am going to brighten up that berry a little bit. I did do the berries previously at the bottom and added highlight to them and got rid of the chalk, so you can do the same. And now I'm just adding a little bit more and brightening up that berry in his mouth just a little bit, adding a little white, then a little red, and then I will add a little sparkler in the center there, or on the right hand side. And then I am going to be going into straight white, and we're going to be highlighting the branches, okay, that are around. Again, start at the left, work to the right. Don't be like me and start all over the place. So we all learn by our mistakes, and add some extra ones if you'd like. And also we want to connect, the other berries too. Like if you feel like there needs to be a line or a branch in between some of the berries, feel free to add that as well. But basically I'm just going in, I'm dipping my liner brush in water and rolling it around and making it like an ink-like consistency so that it flows off the brush a little bit easier, and just highlighting those berries a little bit. These winter berries are so cool. They have so much character about them. I love painting them, and they're just fun to do. So put your branches in where you feel they need be. And I mean, I'm certainly not perfect, so I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I think that would be amazing, just because I do. So just continue highlighting the branches here. And, make them coming out this way and that way, and have them overlapping each other just to give it a more realistic effect. Again, if your hand shakes and you're going away from the branch a little bit, that's okay too. It just adds a little bit more character to your finished piece. So I'm just going to continue doing the branches here and adding in a few where I feel like they need to be. And, pause the video at any time if you want to take your time with it. I find it quicker if you just, go through it quickly, because then it just makes it a little bit quicker. So I added a couple more berries there. I'm going to add a few more branches in here as well to connect those berries to the branches. And again, I'm just using the straight white just as a highlight. This has kind of got a Christmassy feel to it, so, which I know Christmas isn't for a while yet, but hey, that's okay. We can be prepared. I'm also, we are going to be, as soon as we're done the branches here, we're going to be adding, some real highlight to the front of this bird a little bit, where the sun is shining in as well. So I'm going into the straight white now, and I'm just adding a touch of highlight to around the front of the belly of the bird. And just do it in dots, like don't do a straight line, just sort of drag your brush lightly and do that in dots, and then it just makes it so much more realistic. So this fellow is pretty cool. So, and when you're done with that, please do sign your work. You've painted a beautiful piece, and I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I will be trying to post every 3 days or so for new tutorials. So Sherry signing off from Sherry's Painting, and please do like and subscribe. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye.